Hi, quick video about the R2 assignment. First of all, the rough draft is due Sunday, October the 6th before 11:55 p.m. I'll open up a Turnitin app for you a little bit later on this week, but I want you to keep in mind that in this class, a rough draft is just a real rough draft, just a first start. All I'm looking for is just some evidence that you started thinking about the topic and you've got something down on paper. It has to have a minimum of 2 pages. It doesn't have to have any formal research to it, but you're probably going to want to do some informal research just to have something to say about the topic. Let's take a look at the two topics. You have a choice. You can write about what are the main reasons why college in America isn't free like high school is. And I'll be honest with you, I've never assigned this one before, so I don't know what the research is going to show, but it may have something to do with perceived value or political will or tradition. Uh, just look and see what's out there. Now, remember, when you do a Google search, you can get information in 100 different ways. Um, and when you're just gathering information for your rough draft, wherever you get it is fine with me. I don't really care. But for the final draft, which is due October the 20th, your sources have to meet certain criteria. So you want to avoid sources which aren't really academic, scholarly, research type sources. They're intended for general audience. You want to avoid Reader's Digest or Forbes magazine or something that's intended for a broad audience. You want something that's intended just for a very specific academic audience, something that's written just for college professors or um, officers of a university or something. So so you might start off kind of broad, which is like a Google search, and then refine your research later. You only need 2 sources, but they have to be 2 really good sources. And I'll post some more later about what makes a good source and what to avoid in the bad sources. But yeah, so for the rough draft, October 6th, you want just minimum of 2 pages. Grammar, spelling, punctuation doesn't count, doesn't matter. I'm just looking, have you taken a first step? Have you started looking at some general ideas about the topic? And do you have something down on paper? The other topic is what are the benefits of a gap year between high school and college? Now, be sure that you're clear on this. Maybe the first thing you need to research, the first thing you look up is what is a gap year? We're going to define this technically as a 1 year period, well, 1 or 2 years, probably one, a 1 year period between high school and college that students intentionally take as a means of personal growth or financial gain or whatever, but it's not something that you do because you couldn't get into college or because you're in prison. It's something you do on purpose. This is a big tradition in Europe, especially in England, and most of the research I've found shows that there's nothing but positives associated with it. And we know about brain growth and maturity levels and things like that, about why students should take a year off or 2, but we don't. And so the question asks, what are the benefits? I don't want to know about the negatives, just what are the benefits? And so look and see what your general research says to say about that. A lot of people, a lot of students are going to have their own personal opinions about these topics, and that's fine. You can let that guide your research, but don't put that in your research papers. I don't want to know what you think. I don't want to know what your ideas, your opinion is, what your experiences are. Okay? I just want formal academic research. Now, naturally, your experiences are going to color what your research finds. We psychologically we understand how that happens. If you took a gap year and you had some wonderful experiences, then chances are it's going to be easier for you to find good research to support this topic. If a friend of yours took a gap year and had a terrible experience, it's going to be harder for you to find research that supports the positives. But keep that in mind. This is not a personal experience essay. So your personal experiences or your family or your friends should not be incorporated into the research. We don't want any personal anecdotes in here. It's a fairly short paper to start with. Even the final draft, has a minimum of 200 pages, 700 to 1400 words, so it's only 2 to 4 pages. So yeah, I just want to know what the experts think, and then you explain that to me. You extrapolate, you put that in context for me, and explain what it means. Okay. You still have to have have to have a thesis, which clearly answers the research question for the final draft. The rough draft, you really don't have to have paragraphs at all. It could just be one long paper, I guess. But I do encourage you to have paragraphs. Those are always helpful for organizing your thoughts. Um, but for the final draft, yeah, you've got to have a thesis that clearly answers the research question, body paragraphs that support the thesis, uh, quotes and every body paragraph needs to have a short, direct quote followed by an in-text citation. Now, in this case, in drama, it was the author's last name, Shakespeare, and then the act, line, and scene number. So Shakespeare, Act 5, line 2, or Act 5, Scene 2, line 12. This is just the author's last name and the page number. Now you're probably thinking, well, suppose my source doesn't have an author. Then it's not a good source for this assignment. Find a source that has an author and has page numbers, and that's what goes in the citation. Okay, we'll keep this simple. If you have any questions, let me know. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you are thinking as far as one of these two topics. Last point, does your final draft have to be on the same topic? Yes, it does, of course. All right, if you have any other questions, let me know. Drop me an email. Don't. I'm sorry I didn't make this clear earlier, but please do not hit reply when I send an email to the class. I will post a class announcement to Blackboard and then click send a class email, which goes to your SBC email address. But when you reply to that, it goes to an address that comes from do not reply at Blackboard. So do me a favor, when you email me, start a new email, send it to jfly@southplanscollege.edu, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. Have a good week.